Welcome back to the White Gray Black Weekly Manga Podcast. This is the podcast where we talk about all of your favorite ongoing Japanese manga. My name is Bruce. I am the proprietor of the White Gray Black YouTube channel. With me again this week is, and this might be a hot take, the best co-host imaginable. It's Gautam.
Nah, just cool guy Gautam over here. How you doing?
What is this I see? Gatekeeping can be beneficial. Manga's better than American comics. Berserk fell off. Listeners and watchers, it is time again for another Manga Hot Takes episode coming right up. People having bad opinions about art is only slightly younger than art creation itself. So you could say hot takes are the oldest form of criticism. Maybe not. Anyways, let's check out some hot takes we found on the internet. We're going to throw a few of ours in there, see if we can guess which hot take is from our co-host and which is from the dregs of the internet. We're going to speed run some opinions on manga if they're overrated, underrated, and we'll try to give a little opinion on each of these if they're hot, cold, or somewhere in the middle, maybe a tepid thing. So time to do hot takes, everybody. Let's start it off with an old classic. We'll come at this from two angles. Manga is better than American comics, or manga is worse than American comics. What do you think, Gautam? Do you have an opinion on this, or do you think this opinion is useless?
It was a hot take that you found. They're saying manga is better.
I think we talk about both ends of this because I see both of these pop up. That manga is so much better than American comics, or American comics are so much better for whatever reasons, right? I think both sides have a little bit of different justifications they like to use for their hot take. But
okay, the real answer is that is an impossible statement to agree with both of them because there's nuance and both do different things well. But let's put that aside and activate the monkey brain because this is a hot takes episode. I agree. Manga is better.
Yeah, manga's. It's a manga podcast. You think we weren't going to say manga's better than American comics? Absolutely.
Here's why I think so. It's because I like linear storylines. I find that American comics kind of reset their heroes, and like if Batman fights this villain and loses an arm or whatever, there's a new version of Batman where none of that happened. And I think it's kind of homework to keep track of what is a canon event, what isn't. It all depends on the writer. And
right. Well, and you've hit on, so I'm going to call you out. You've hit on the big fallacy that everyone makes when they have this discussion, and that's that people compare the entirety of manga to American superhero comics, and there are other American comics out there. My argument, which is not is a often misunderstood thing. You think American comics, you think, oh yeah, the superhero comics, they're all over the place, they have multiple storylines. We both hate that. I hate that, if I want to pick up Justice League, I have to read a bunch of Batman and a bunch of Wonder Woman and a bunch of Flash and a bunch of Superman. Now I understand what they're all doing there and who this guy is. And that's not for everyone. Certainly not, I think, for you and I. I think my big thing about why I think manga is better is that manga is a singular creator, generally, sometimes two, an author and an artist, creating it's their art. They make it. They are generally the only person involved. I know that there's assistants. I know that there's editors, but it's generally a sort of single author, a single mangaka's creators, a single person's ideas on the page. I think that makes a lot of stories more cohesive. It
makes it more focused.
More
because
focused.
You have a kind of a unilateral vision.
Yeah, because the general way that American, or at least sort of Western comics work is that if it's a color comic, you have the author who is almost, I would say in more than 50% of cases, is a different person from the author and the artist are different people, right? Sometimes it's the same. Occasionally, I think that's a lot less common than having an author and an artist. And then you have someone else doing inks, you have someone else doing colors, you maybe have someone else doing, whatever other, color grading or editing or page layout or whatever. There's all these other people involved, and I think you lose a little bit of that focused single creator mind. So that's I think one of my takes on why manga is better than American comics.
Fair enough. But on the other hand of things, you see things like Invincible, which I think has kind of a straight line narrative, a consistent vision from one author that works well. I think in manga, like the shitty ones, the shitty unilateral visions, the industry is so brutal they get axed. So you see a lot. You only see the good stuff, I feel like, most of the time in manga, whereas you see a lot more of the bad ones in American comics. So it's like a tougher comparison. But anyway,
well, I mean, this is a cold ass take, right? Everybody has this opinion, especially we're grabbing these.
You rated cold?
Yeah, we're grabbing these from manga threads, so they're mostly on the manga side. But I will say, speaking of the sort of multi-creator angle, to play devil's advocate and defend our home country's comics a little bit, I think that when you split the author and the artist, they are both allowed to focus more on their single part of the art, and they're allowed to be better. Which means that I think that on average, an American comic writer is a better writer than the average mangaka. And I think that's because
more time to
because they're just a writer.
They have the time to hone that craft to kind of a sharp edge. And
we even see this. I mean, we see this in mangaka too, right? Where if you separate the author and the artist, I often think the author appears better, right? Like if you're thinking about Aka Akasaka and Mengo Yokuyari doing Oshinoko, right? That's written primarily by Aka, and he's a great writer. His art is good. It's okay. It's definitely not the best. But when you separate them, I think their writing is allowed to shine more. Even something like Akane Banashi, right, is written by one guy and drawn by another, and the writing in that is exceptional. It's some of the best. It's probably the best writing in Weekly Shonen Jump. So.
And and my next hot take is based on a manga from a author-artist duo as well.
There you go, lined it up.
But before we go into that one, how would you rate this take? Would you say it's hot?
Both sides of these are cold as shit.
Tepid or cold?
These are the worst. Art comparison will never stop. It's just
people listening. Yeah. And for people listening, we're going to rate each take on whether it's a hot take, a tepid take, or a cold take. Bruce says this is an absolutely cold take.
This is cold as shit.
I think this is...
Both sides.
This is just, I feel like a cold take. Even though it is meant to agitate people, it's like you're going to like your favorite pizza restaurant and saying, I love pizza, I hate burgers. And it's like
what do you expect? Like, yes, everyone agrees with you. Yeah.
You're surrounded by people who are also into pizza. So I think you're not really going to get much pushback there.
This is it's the exact same argument as people who are like, oh my gosh, Marvel movies are so much better than DC movies. Like, yes, we get it. They make millions of dollars. Absolutely. Thank you. All right, Gautam, line me up with your next. Yeah, line me up with your next hot take. What do you got?
Okay, found on my anime list.
It's already above cold. Okay, let's see it.
This is in regards to Death Note. No. The take is, people who say L is dumber than Light because he lost in Death Note is a moron. Both were equally intelligent, and both lost due to their own egos. So, what do you think on this, Bruce? How do you feel?
So speaking on the opinion that they put forward, there's a joke that I do some WoW rating in my spare time. There's a joke we like to make where if we mess up a fight but still kill it, we say that we completed that fight perfectly because that is results-based analysis, right? Which means that the result at the end is what you are basing whether everything before it was correct or not. So applying results-based analysis to L and Light and saying both of them were... what is it? I guess both of them were equally intelligent.
Yeah.
But Light beats L. Results-based analysis tells me that this is a wrong take. Light is smarter than L. That would be my opinion. Is that there is a time-based element to the ego, right? If you if you say, well, both of them lost because of egos in the end, then you have to compare, okay, well, who lost because of their ego first? And
You
that would
sound
be
like
L.
Light Yagami right now.
Absolutely, yeah.
I would disagree with you and this take for a different reason. I don't think L had an ego. L looped in the local PD immediately and valued their assistance, even though he was a super genius 80 steps ahead of all of them. He works with the common man, whereas Light feels like he's above them. I'd say Light's crippling weakness is his ego.
For sure, Light's weakness is his ego. I agree with that.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, his classic Shakespearean ending. It's 20 years old. We can spoil it. Yeah, it's, pride goes before the fall. He had pride.
Exactly. And it was a good story for that. It worked in the story.
And a great ending for it, yeah.
But I would say they were both equally intelligent, and here is why. I think Light won because he had way more cards to play, and all of those cards defied logic. Mm-hmm. So,
and I also
by
think,
normal analysis, L got so far in understanding the scope of the murders in general. Like, this is supernatural bullshit that's unprecedented. But on top of that, there's more supernatural bullshit that's unprecedented that Light has access to that is impossible to figure out using, I don't know, any rational methods. So
Yeah.
I'd say they're equally intelligent. It's just like, it's like two men who are equally strong fighting, but one of them has a gun. It's like,
or one of them is what, or they both have guns, and one is willing to kill the other, and the other isn't. I think this is also
very much so.
There's also a moral line that Light is willing to cross. That means that he is just able to exert more power because he cares less about who gets hurt or what happens, and L is not willing to do that.
And L knew it was Light. He just had no concrete proof. If L had the opportunity to kill Light, and that was legal, ethical, and good detective work, then L would have killed him, like in episode 4 or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, I think they're equally intelligent. I think Light just had more tools.
I guess I agree that I don't think Light is dumber. I think that the intelligence is equal, but the morality is what's different, and that's what separates a winner 100%. From a loser in Death Note.
Yeah. All right. So how would you rate this take?
Let me go over it again. People who say L is dumber than Light because he lost in Death Note I'm assuming they mean are morons, the people. Both were equal intelligent and both lost due to their own egos. I think I agree with this hot take up until the very last line where he says they both lost due to their egos. I think they lost because of morality differences but is this an actual hot take? I don't know.
Well, you said initially that L is not as intelligent as Light, so I think it would be.
I'm gonna put this at tepid. I don't think this is like, I can't believe you said that. This is so hot. Why would you say this? And I don't think it's cold. I'll put it in the middle. This is a tepid take.
I put it at tepid just for that last line.
Yeah, and I think that, I don't know. It's hard to separate intelligence from every other mental capacity, I guess, including morality. Like, maybe the people who say, like, L isn't as smart are looping, a choice of morality inside smart. It's a weird conversation.
In terms of Death Note, which is a shonen property, intelligence is the same as Dragon Ball Z power levels.
Absolutely.
It is. It's not how we equate intelligence in the real world. It's just like supernatural intelligence that both possess, which is equal to their fucking Kamehameha power in Dragon Ball Z. It's like, yeah. But either way,
what do you think? Hot, cold, tepid?
I would also say tepid.
Right there in
because I would say it would be cold if it was just the first line, but the second line was pretty dog shit stupid, so I'd say tepid on that one.
All right,
all right, next one.
This is one that I've wanted to be talked about for a while because we haven't. I'm trying to think. I don't think we've maybe brought one or two webtoons onto the podcast in the past, right? But not many. So this is a take that I found. This take says webtoons are one of the worst comic mediums, and there are no webtoons anywhere near the level of the best manga and American comics. How do you feel?
Do they include like manhwa, or are you talking about just like
I think they are specifically
webcomics?
targeting Korean web. Well, actually, now that you say that, I don't know.
Let's make it Korean because
Webtoons to me says Korean web comics.
because the
they're
site
talking about.
webtoons that have all the Korean
Yeah.
manga on it. Okay, let's just pretend
I'm
that's
pretty
what
sure
they were
this
saying.
is Korean webtoons
Okay.
is what they're
Got it.
focusing on here.
Okay, I agree.
Agree? Yeah. Agree or disagree, and then why?
I agree that webtoons are the worst comic medium, and there are no webtoons at the level of the best manga or American comics. But I also think this guy's an asshole.
Yeah.
Because while those statements are true in my eyes, there are very good webtoons out there that are yeah, there are. And saying the worst comic medium implies that they are all bad when there are a ton of good ones. And saying no webtoons anywhere near the level of the best. Yeah, that's true, but there are a lot of great ones. You know, it's like shit, bro. It's like if I agree with this statement, it feels like I'm saying they're all shit, but I'm not saying that. It's just like you're talking about the best of the best manga and the best of the best comics. It's like, no, they're not there yet, but they will be at some point.
Okay.
And let me cite my sources. I think Tower of God is good.
No, Tower of God fucking sucks. I'm on this guy's fucking side. Webtoons are bad. If the average manga is a
think you
5, the
fucking
average
suck.
webtoon is like a 2. I don't know.
No, wrong.
If a good here, all right,
Wait, hold on. Let me cite my other one
go.
before Omniscient Reader Viewpoint. I think that is better than. I think it's more interesting than anything, like maybe barring Akane and a few others running in Weekly Shonen Jump, like barring One Piece, all that. But I think it's more interesting than MMA. I think it's more interesting than Dogs Red. Like there are great webtoons out there. Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint, I think it's very good. So I agree, but I fucking hate this guy. I want to kill him.
Okay. This might be the one that I put here myself. No, I also agree with this guy. He is a little bit of an asshole for saying what he said. I am more on his side than you are, because to be honest, if there were webtoons that were actually that good, where are they? Like,
You're not reading them.
where are they?
You're just not reading them, man.
Where are they? I don't like, but where's they're part of this
Read Omniscient Reader. Read The Great Estate Developer. That's an awesome one.
The Great Estate. That sounds riveting.
It actually sounds has an awful title, but it's very fun.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
all
really
right.
good.
I've tried less than 20 webtoons, manhwa in my whole life. Solo Leveling is the only one that I even got close to completing, and I didn't finish it. Would you say Solo Leveling a lot of people liked? Solo Leveling is like worse than most manga. Like its art is good.
It's all right.
Its art is good.
It's junk food, right? Like, so
it's like junkier junk food than most junk food. Like it's
it is like it's better than Hero Academia. You know what I mean? Like it is because Hero tries and fails at being nuanced, and Solo Leveling knows what it is. It doesn't even it knows its shit, and it lives in that junk food space in a fun way.
Yeah. This, I guess, my big thing about webtoons and sort of Korean manhwa and the kind of mobile read long form strip is that the art form is so young that we have not gotten to a point where people have really experimented or found what really works in visual storytelling of it. Like, speaking of Solo Leveling, right? When something cool happened, it wasn't this cool vertical spread, right? Making use of the sort of long strip form. It was just like a horizontal one flipped on its side. That's stupid. That's lame. Like, I hate that. I think that the form is also really limiting. in a way that, yeah, I don't know. And the way people use it annoys me. The fact that it's like, there's so much dead space. There's so much just dead nothing going on when there's a conversation. The panel flow is not thought about because it's automatic, because it's just top down. I really don't like the art form, I guess would be my thing. And I think that means that even if there were a couple of good writers, if they don't take advantage of the visual part of it either, it's never going to be as good as something like American comics or manga, which have essentially the same form, right? That sort of 2-page left to right or right to left format, which is mature at this point, right? I mean, 100 years at least. So maybe someday they will figure it out. I
agree.
I don't know what they're going to do, because I don't know how they fix the sort of the problems with the art form. So I think this is a hot take. I think this is a spicy, fiery hot take. I like it.
I think this is a hot take, and I can't say otherwise because of how much we argued about it. It's like someone, like some bully came up and is like, "Hey, your friend's a nerd," and like he is a nerd, and you're like, "Yeah, okay, but like he's cool. Okay, don't make fun of him." That's how I feel. Like I acknowledge he's a nerd, but I'm like, hey, he has redeeming qualities, and this comment makes it seem like he does not.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I will add right into the end just one more thing. I do think that if and when eventually we get more anime or Korean animation coming out that adapts some of these series, that again is a more well understood art form, and is probably I would rather consume them in that way than the stupid long form comic, which I just generally don't like at all. So I can see a world where when we start getting more Korean anime, manhwa anime, whatever you want to say, adaptations, they might be good. So far, we've only gotten Tower of God, which, spoilers, fucking sucks. And like the high school fighting, what's that one called?
God of High School.
God of High School, which was well animated, but yeah.
And Noblesse, which I haven't read, but is a popular one.
Well, it's so weird because like, if someone was like, "Oh, give me all the really popular, manga, and I'll read the most popular stuff right now," you'd be like, "Okay, go read like One Piece, and what else is like super popular? Like Yomi no Tsugai sells really well, and Sakamoto Days is up there."
Yeah,
and like,
nothing is as good as that.
And
right?
every time I see like, "Oh, these are like, go read like these are the best manhwa right now," and I go and read them, I'm like, "This is garbage. Like these are not good. If this is the best that you can give me, I'm not in for it." So,
yeah. Okay, onwards.
Onwards. What do you got next?
Okay, this one actually also comes from my anime list. The hottest take I can offer is that character progression gotta be one of the most overrated aspects in manga. A character doesn't have to undergo a radical change in order to be considered great.
Okay.
What do you think?
I'm going to start with where I think this is. I think this is a very hot take. But also I will say at a very deep, emotionally core level, I hate this take. And I disagree with it on every level because for me, I'm a very character first reader. If a character is staying still and not progressing and not changing, that makes me dislike writing. That makes me dislike a story. That being said, there are character archetypes and these characters that exist that are static characters that can still be compelling. But for most average stories, that's not what you want. And you almost always want characters to progress and change.
Yeah. That is well stated. I actually thought this one would trip you up, which is why I chose it. I agree with this take. Even though I think this person doesn't understand what good writing is, I agree with this take. Here is why. There are characters like, let me give you a few examples here. Kamina from Gurren Lagann, who already has his character like mostly completed from the get-go, but exists as a character who motivates and changes the main character.
Yeah, static characters as side characters is much more common and I'm much more okay with that.
Yeah, characters used as tools don't need to change if they are used as tools to change the characters you like, the main characters.
Right. Yeah.
And another one. This one is kind of just an anomaly, in my eyes. It is. This is not an anime or manga, but if you've seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, Toph. Is it Toph or Toph? I forgot. It's been a while.
Either way, I think
Toph. Okay. Toph doesn't really change as a character past her initial like few episodes. After they recruit her, she has no reason to be there, nor does her personality change really, aside from her getting a few powers. She is incredibly consistent, stays the same even at the end of the series, but is one of my favorite characters. I love that character.
Yeah. I mean, even if you want to give a manga example, right? That the sort of Toph way of doing sort of introduce a character, they change a little bit up to a point, and then they join the crew and they're there. That's the way One Piece works, right? Nami has not had character development for like 900 chapters. Like Nami has not changed as a character. She changes massively during her arc, and then she joins the crew, and there is very, very little, if any, development of that character. Nami is still a good character, in my opinion.
I think that, but I think we might be like making like a dumb argument with Toph and Nami because they did have their radical changes.
Well, that's I was gonna come back to that of like, okay, but if you introduce them without any development and they never develop and they are a main character, that is, I will say on the, it's harder to do, but there are character archetypes. The big one that I can think of, and it's not a manga or movie or anything, but Sherlock Holmes is a static character. Often these, there's a lot of noir, investigative type characters who just sort of appear in a story, are a central pillar that you grab onto, and the things around them change. Those are often static characters, and those can still be compelling characters, right? Even, even someone like
Hercule Poirot is the same thing.
Poirot,
I don't think detective characters, like the super genius detectives, are supposed to be like changing. I think
they aren't, and that's
the
like,
real characters are the suspects in those stories,
right? And that's the argument of if someone has to change. I think this take is both hot and bad because I get that not every character has to develop and has to change. I agree with that. But someone in the story has to change. There has to be some character momentum. You can't have no character momentum.
Are you thinking this person is making like a sweeping statement that a series doesn't have to have character progression in order to be good? Or are you saying, or do you think they're saying not every character has to change?
A character doesn't have to undergo a radical change in order to be considered great. Yeah, okay. I think we're going to run into this a lot. This is one of those takes that's sort of like, yeah, they're right, but you're saying it like an asshole, right? Like you could have worded
that's how
that
I felt
better.
about the last guy. Yeah,
which I think we're going to run into a lot because honestly, most people who type up hot takes are idiot garbage people. But you know,
and I think the point of hot takes is to make us hate them. So
that's true. Which works with this.
I
mean, it's. I think this is a. Again, I'm going to rate this hot.
I would also rate it hot.
There's a kernel of truth in what they say, but they said it like a jerk, and they did not expound the details that we know to be true. They just said character progression's overrated. You don't have to have character progression.
Yeah, I think this is a true take, but I am reading this as like not every character needs to undergo radical change, which I agree with.
I do with that.
I also think that you're right. As a soul read, I think they are probably a dumbass who doesn't understand like character growth at all. But this is just the uncharitable take I'm giving them.
Yeah, I will also say you're never going to reach the emotional highs of. I'm trying to think of something that is like a well-developed climax. I mean, like the end of Full Metal Alchemist or like Gear 5 in One Piece. Those are characters developing to that point, and you will never reach that high with a static character. A static character will never be able to hit the peaks that a developed character reaches. I think that's the big thing.
Here's the thing. I think they create that peak for the developed characters. like Kamina in Gurren Lagann, spoilers for that show, dies, and that influences Simon's growth as the main character
Yes.
in a huge way. And I think that was a radical change. That was a catalyst for the radical change. So I don't think Kamina hit that height himself, but he created that height for a different character.
Right. Well, but I will say, and maybe this is we'll sneak another personal hot take in here. As cool as Kamina is, and as great as episode 8 or whatever it is, where he goes all out and dies.
You knew the episode right off the top of your head. Nice.
I think because I feel like I've talked about it a lot and spoiled a lot. But anyways,
I've rewatched that one a lot.
Yeah, as cool and great and high as that peak is, I do not think that is as high as Simone's peak by the end of Gurren Lagann, because he has the development. So when you develop a character and you have the emotional character climax at the same time as an action climax, that's better than a static character doing something really cool and dying, right? Like I think that the space battle throwing galaxies at each other is a higher peak than Kamina's sacrifice in episode 8. So that and that is because
it was all built off the
development.
back of that in my eyes. It was all built off the back of that initial moment. So it's like it's hard. This is a hard one. Anyway, let's not spend too much more time on this. Let's go to your next one.
Let's move on. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I feel like I have to throw this one in here just because it's so radically weird and different, and it's not really about a specific story. This hot take, I found this on Reddit. I don't think it had any responses. It was just sitting there. It might have even been downvoted. This take says gatekeeping can be beneficial to the manga community. What do you think?
Gatekeeping can be beneficial. No, I don't agree. That's stupid. That's a stupid dog shit take.
Why do you think they said this? Can you think of any reasons why gatekeeping might be beneficial?
I guess if they want to read their like weird ecchi shit without being judged, then you can gatekeep and say, hey, you don't get it. So people don't think you're reading it for the horniness. You're trying to put off like an air that you're reading it for.
It's real art. Like, it's true art.
Yeah, like certain nuances that they are incapable of understanding.
Yeah. I think
I don't agree with that either. You know, that thought process either. It's just stupid.
Yeah. I should have put on my flannel shirt because I have the hipster glasses, and this is a hipster opinion is what this is, right? This is the band was better before they got big. I think, and again, I'm going to put words in their mouth. I think that the reason they would say gatekeeping can be beneficial for the manga community is, well, you don't want the people who've only, who just watch Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen to come in here, read manga and talk about it. They're not real manga fans. Their opinions don't matter as much as someone like me who's read hundreds and thousands of manga, right? That's the kind of gatekeeping I think they're imagining is they don't want manga to be Marvel movies, right? Where everyone has seen them and everyone, and the lowest common denominator has an opinion on Marvel movies and likes them or whatever, right? Again, this is the hipster take, is that you want to keep
stupid take. Yeah.
Is you only want the people who really are passionate and really like things to be in the in group, because when the normal people come in, you think the level of conversation goes down or the level of the art quality takes a dip because they're trying to appeal to a different group that you're not a part of and stuff like this. This is fiery hot take, also very bad take. Gatekeeping is not good.
Also, like, look at One Piece. That is Marvel levels of discussion. Sure, there's a lot of dog shit discussion, but I'd rather people love the things I love, because I think things you like and truly appreciate should be shared with everyone.
Yeah. Art is for everyone and should be for everyone. And the more people that can and see it and enjoy it and get something out of it is always a good thing. So fuck off, Mr. Gatekeeping can be good guy.
Yeah, that makes no sense with any context, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's literally just the hipster argument of they were better before they got famous, right? Like I want to keep manga from being too popular because I want it to be my niche little thing.
Yeah, me and the asshole webtoons guy can shake hands and smoke a blunt talking about how this guy fucking sucks.
Yeah, look at that guy over there. Do you have another one you want me to do a double? That was a short one.
That was a short one. Hold on, let me give you my short one then.
Okay, yeah, give me a short one.
Because this one's not even manga based, but I thought it made so little sense, much like yours, that I had to bring it in. This one's from Twitter.
The worst takes probably come from Twitter.
You'd be surprised. They're just bad.
Thanks, Mr. Geo. Notably worst takes on One Piece ever. Shout out that guy's
Oh my god,
account.
that's so funny.
It's so fun though.
The take is, I liked Full Metal Alchemist over Brotherhood.
Okay.
Second sentence is where it gets a little
That's fair.
weird.
I think that's a fair take.
Brotherhood's character design was worse.
Wait, what?
That's it.
It's the same character design. I don't understand.
It is the exact same fucking character design. And Brotherhood was, like, all the characters in that were created by Arakawa.
It's all Arakawa's design, and also Brotherhood is animated and drawn better, so they just look better in that show. It
was so baffling understanding what they even meant by that. What do you fucking mean Brotherhood's character design is worse?
That's such a swap, because it's like, I've seen people say before, like, oh, I really like the original, Full Metal Alchemist anime over Brotherhood. And I get that. I think the original Full Metal Alchemist anime is pretty good, considering.
Yeah, it's dark. I can understand that opinion even if I don't agree.
But like
the second sentence.
The reason being that the character designs from the manga that are actually the same across all three properties, manga and both anime, are worse. I don't think there's much to there's not much to discuss here. I just wanted to bring it up. Yeah, I mean, like, I guess it's hot because it's so bad. It's a hot take because it's so bad. I don't know.
Yeah, let's recategorize this one as dog shit stupid question mark take.
As just poster may not have eyes.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. All right. Let me give you a little bit of a longer one. Let's see. Okay, this is something we've talked about a little bit, but we have never gone too far into depth. So, all right, this one says, the pressure of the axe or cancellation and the speed at which it falls, which is, this guy put 18 to 25-ish chapters, makes the start of almost all Weekly Shonen Jump manga worse than they would be if they were all promised at least a year of serialization, 45 to 49 chapters. So that take is essentially that because Weekly Shonen Jump is so competitive and you are likely to get canceled within 2 volumes, right? 16, 17, 18 chapters. That means that the start of all these manga is not as good as it would be if they just said, hey, you've got a full year before we even think about cancellation. You got 45 chapters, go at your own pace, do your thing.
Yeah. This is a complicated one to answer because I agree with the sentiment, but disagree overall. And let me explain.
Okay.
I think Jump is incredibly unforgiving, and a lot of mangaka in Jump do suffer because of this axe. They have to hit this perfect sweet spot of pacing, and if they just want to do a slow character thing that builds into something amazing, they can't because people lose focus, lose patience for it, and it dies. So I agree with that sentiment, but Jump doesn't care. It grooms geniuses who can do both. Mm-hmm. So all Weekly Shonen Jump manga that are currently running are all by geniuses who can who can fit whatever they want and pace it perfectly and go forward with that. Otherwise, the rest are just axed. So, like, I guess what I'm saying is the start of all currently running, not all, but like all of the big running Jump manga are not worse than they would be because they hit that sweet spot and dodged the axe.
Yeah.
But there is a graveyard of manga that had the potential to be amazing because of what this guy just said. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So what you're saying is that because there's that pressure early on, you actually end up weeding out a lot of people who are just not good at pacing, right? You get people who are actually good at pacing because they're able to start and pace the first, 10 chapters of their manga. Whereas if you just said, hey, go whatever pace you want, you'd get a lot of these bad. I mean, I cannot even imagine.
It's hard to say good pacing, right? Because you have to pace this for an audience of children to keep their attention. So slow burns that would be good pacing to you or I will get axed.
Paced for the audience, I guess. Yeah. Paced for the correct audience, yeah. Because I can't even imagine how how angry would we be if we had to deal with 48 chapters of like Ichigoki under control, right? Like if that like started, we didn't like chapter 1 or we hated the first 3 chapters, and then we're like, oh my God, this is going to be taking up a slot in this magazine for 1 full year.
On the other hand, right? Think of Ginka and Luna. If the author had no pressure to anyone breathing down their neck, that could be still around.
Yeah, or Tenmaku Cinema, or any of these that have been pretty good but maybe lacking just in the pacing department. Yeah.
But in the context of Weekly Shonen Jump, you have the Odas, you have the Sakamotos, you have the author of Akane, who can both make a good story and like
get people in early.
Yeah, get people
to stick around. Yeah, I definitely think that there is a particular talent which having this axe and this pressure just weeds out, right? And I do think that there is something to be said about saying, hey, your chapter 1 has to be a good, focused, complete story. It has to grip people and hook people in. And then after that, you have to do, 1 or 2, your next chapter or 2 have to be a really quick, storytelling thing to get people to keep reading it and stick around and be good. And I do think that weeding out people who can't create a cohesive chapter 1, for example, or create, a cohesive first volume, first 6, 7, 8 chapters. That is a thing that, one, I think Shueisha, I think Weekly Shonen Jump wants to do that, right? They do not want someone who can't just put together a story that people want to read. And that's, you can almost call that from chapter 1. Definitely call it, in Weekly Shonen Jump's opinion, you can definitely call it from volume 1. Because in general, they publish volume 1, and then around the time volume 2 is coming out or about to be published, that's when they axe the series. So,
and to add on to that, right? Like, all these authors and creators know the game they are playing. They know what they're getting into.
They know what they have to do.
So when they lose, there's really no one to blame but themselves for not playing it well enough. As brutal as that sounds. So I disagree with this guy, but I like his opinion, and we could share a beer.
Yeah, there's definitely something here. Like you said, a lot of these good stories that aren't as gripping at the start or that just needed a little bit more room to grow would have been better with more time. I don't know if WSJ is a better overall magazine without this. It's a tough call for me.
I think they have their wheels running. I think they know what they're doing, but I do think that it is brutal for humans, from an empathetic perspective.
Yeah, that's also true.
I think it's cutthroat and fucked up. But from a business standpoint and generating quality manga, I think they have their hands on the wheel properly.
Yeah, I also think there's for people who are big manga readers like us, there's a big appeal for, hey, new stuff is hitting. Let's check it out because it's a new thing. So I probably, at least start to read more manga because they cycle through them so fast, right? I mean, I've read from Shueisha, from Weekly Shonen Jump and Jump Plus, I've read probably 12 new manga this year, 10 or 12, that I would not have read if they published those less often, right? I mean, if they gave everyone a year, I probably would have read 4 or 5. There would not be as many. So there's,
This one's also like very variable, right? Because we don't know people's potential. If they're axed at the first sign of weakness, the people bounce back and improve. That's like the nature of humanity. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to say whether things would be better or worse if they were given longer to explore their craft and kind of get feedback and improve. But I'd say overall, I disagree with the take that manga would be better if they had 45 to 49 chapters. But I think this guy's an empathetic person, and from a human perspective, it's probably a good change.
Yeah, Weekly Shonen Jump specifically, I think, is what the take was about. So not necessarily all manga, but Weekly Shonen Jump getting longer publication. So, yeah, pressure of the axe and the speed at which it falls makes the start of almost all Weekly Shonen Jump manga worse than they would be if they were all promised a year of serialization. Hot, cold, tepid. Where are you, Gautam?
Cold. I think this is a pretty popular take.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone likes the axe, especially if their favorite series gets axed. And I felt the same way. I'd say about Ginka and Luna. I'd say recently about Vibration Man.
Yeah. Or even Tenmaku Cinema, which I thought was good. They could have just used more time, but yeah.
So while I disagree, my mileage may vary, and I also feel sour grapes about shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give this tepid because I think it's one of those things where it's like, I would like to see Weekly Shonen Jump try this for 2 years and see if it is better. Because there's no one else who can implement this, right? There's no one else who's the top of the market and who can get the best talent and say, okay, we're trying out this new talent. What if we gave them more time? Does that lead to more successful? Does that lead to more sales? I would really like to see them try this out. But I think you're right that most people just in general don't like the axe and think that Weekly Shonen Jump would be better to give these people a bit more chances from, like you said, an empathetic angle. So I'll say tepid. I don't think this is cold, but not the hottest of takes.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Except I do think it's cold. But okay, I have one last one here.
All right, you do one more, I'll do one more, and then we'll see what's going on.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. This one might be the spiciest one. Like, okay. I think like people in our comments might actually get heated over this one. Who knows? Okay, this one is in regards to jobless reincarnation. Have you seen that, Bruce?
I haven't, but I have heard about it.
Okay, yeah.
Generally well regarded. Is this Mushoku Tensei or is that a different?
Yeah, Mushoku Tensei.
Okay, yeah.
Exactly.
Then I'm on the. I know it's up. Yep.
Yeah, effectively, it's about this like scumbag, neat dude who dies. Like he's kind of a shitty person who watches like child porn and just a scumbag. He gets hit by a truck or whatever, dies, gets reincarnated as this little kid called Rudius, except he keeps his adult brain. That is context for this take that I'm going to get.
Okay.
The take that this commenter posted. Okay, the MC isn't bad, and I don't think he's meant to be hated. People are complaining that the MC is a pedophile, but he is no longer the man who sat in his room and played games for decades. He got reincarnated and grew up in another world. What's the problem of having a 13-year-old girlfriend when you're 13? He got a second chance, so why shouldn't he take it? I don't understand the haters.
Interesting. This is the Yoshino-ko argument, which we've seen.
Yeah,
with
so this is actually
kind of, yeah.
This is kind of heated because I've read anime, I like Reddit threads and shit about this very specific issue. I think this guy makes the most moronic argument, because most people say the MC is meant to be hated. This guy is saying, no, it's like, and for context, the MC molests like little kids nonstop. He diddles kids.
Is this the one? I think I've seen episode 1 of this. Doesn't he like touch his teacher? He like teaches him water magic or something in the first episode or two.
And like this 5-year-old who he's growing up with, and then later on his cousin who's 13 years old. But he's supposed to be kind of a womanizer playboy kind of a thing.
Okay.
That he is just a weird rapey little guy, because he still has his 30-year-old brain plus the 13 years he's lived in that world. So he's like mentally 43. It's like, so no, you're not 13. You're 43. You look 13. If he has a second chance, why shouldn't he take it? It's like, I would hope that if this dude who is like 30 got reincarnated into another world, he wouldn't be banging little kids. Yeah. I would hope. I would. Yeah.
Well, and I guess the sort of response I had to that is think about like, okay, if I was reincarnated as a child and I was, growing up as a kid with my adult brain, it's like, okay, would I try to, interact? Would I try to interact and maybe, if I'm in high school as a reborn person and girls have a crush on me, is it okay for me to date them if I think I can be like the best person I can be because I have all this experience? I think the issue here is that this guy is not using his adult brain to be a better version of himself, giving a second chance. He seems to be worse or just as bad.
Just as bad, yeah. And a lot of people, okay, for context, I hate Jobless Reincarnation. I think it's a shit show. The MC does gain a lot of context and perspective, but he still does the scumbaggy things, right? He grows in other ways, but he still like molests his cousin who's 13 years old and kisses her or whatever. And it's like, you can argue that the MC is meant to be hated for these things, but it happens so often. He gets away scot-free and is kind of rewarded for doing all this stuff at every opportunity. So the story paints it as not too bad of a thing.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't read it, so it's hard to give a take specifically on that example. I guess I would say that I can see a world where in a story an adult person is reincarnated as a younger person and they have a relationship with another young person, and that is seen as okay. I can believe. It seems to me in Mushoku Tensei that is not what's going on here, because this guy...
They're too young. They're too young. It's like you have a 40-year-old brain. You're talking with a 12-year-old right now. It's like this is like, this person doesn't understand the world at all. You're just taking advantage.
But I mean, kind of on the other side, like, little bit devil's advocate here. If this 13-year-old guy was like trying to hit on 40-year-old women, like, is that more okay? That's also not okay, because then that 40-year-old woman is interacting with a young boy. So that there's also issues there. There's like no right answer here.
Stay single. Figure yourself out.
Right. Yeah. There's no right answer here. Right. Like I think
this guy's perspective. I will say, I think this guy's perspective is creepy. Yeah, I think we can all agree on that. It's like he's saying, what's the problem with having a 13-year-old girlfriend if you're 13? It's like, that's a creepy perspective because he's not 13, he's 43.
Yeah.
But secondly, I think it's a selfish perspective, because you're considering, like, if you're the reincarnation, you're considering your own like relationship status and all of that over a child who should not be dating a 40-year-old who has way more things figured out than them, right? They're thinking about like what toy they want from McDonald's, kind of a thing, you know? It is insane.
The take strikes me almost as like I would do what this guy did, so it's fine. And which is like, bro, like not great.
Yeah. It just ain't great.
This is a spicy take though, because this sounds. I mean, again, I'm not super.
This is a scorching hot take. I will say that this is a scorching hot take, because it's like he's saying, what's so wrong about being a pedophile?
Yeah.
That is maybe the hottest take I've seen. He also says, I don't understand the haters. So he hasn't even crossed his mind as problematic.
Maybe, okay, let's look at this from another angle. Maybe the guy writing this is 13. That might explain all of this. That might explain a lot of his.
If he's 13, then this definitely makes sense.
I don't get it. If I came back to being 13, I'd be just like I am now. It'd be fine. Like
exactly. If this person's 13, this makes total sense, because he doesn't have a perspective of what an adult brain is.
That's maybe the angle I'm going to go with. But geez, that's a spicy one that I want to get off of. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
No. Fair enough. I will say this is probably one of the most recent hot takes that is like a shit show in.
I have seen people talking about Mushoku Tensei and whether the main character is supposed to be likable or not, or whether you're supposed to sympathize with him or not. Because he goes through other issues. I'd heard about the erectile dysfunction arc that is happening now in the anime, or recently. I'd heard about that, and people were. Okay. I heard some people, saw some people talking about that on Twitter or whatever, and there were some arguments there about like, well, good, now he can't, touch people, and also like, wow, it's you're supposed to feel bad for him, and it's so yeah. I don't know what angle to take because I've not consumed this. I don't know if I'm more or less interested to consume it now. I'm interested to consume it to have an opinion on it, but.
Yeah, the fact that like the onus of an arc is that he can't get his dick up for little girls is insane.
The context. I'm interested in the context of how is that? Why is that?
I think it'll be fascinating. The fascinating part is the context of the author, who stated himself that he was in the exact same position as the MC, and his mom helped him grow and change as a person.
Well, and I wonder. Yeah. I wonder if the story is going to make him grow out of those things and look back and realize it's bad. Because I do think you certainly can have a character make bad, awful decisions and do bad things and then have
I
them
agree.
reflect and say that was wrong and I don't want to do that anymore. I don't know how long Mushoku Tensei is or how long it's been going, or if it's just like, if that
I've
is the
read like
direction it's going or
120
not.
chapters.
Okay.
He doesn't ever get that realization that I shouldn't be like touching these girls like this.
Yeah.
And I think my issue is that he's always seemingly rewarded for taking
Yeah.
these actions, though he's punished for others. But like, I think when I see a bad thing, like a negative character trait, get rewarded so consistently, it doesn't feel like the work is admonishing the trait and showing
Yeah, for sure.
that a character will grow, but instead saying, hey, this is cool that he's doing it.
Yeah, I'll compare this to like a little bit to a show that a lot of people like, and I thought I should like it, and I don't, and that's the What We Do in the Shadows show.
I like that show.
A lot of people do, and I like some of it. The part that I couldn't jive with that eventually led me to drop it, like sometime in season 3, was that all of the vampires in that show are absolute assholes, and especially to their sort of like little helper guy, and they are never punished for it. In fact, they are rewarded for being an asshole to everyone around them. And usually you want to show some kind of like growth, but the problem is every little growth they might get at the end of it, they didn't understand. So they were all just assholes. They never actually grew. There was no punishment for them being assholes. They all just kept surviving, and they even flourished, right? They even end up getting like promoted in the ranks and getting more. They get, they have relationships and stuff. And it isn't all necessarily because of them being assholes, but like they're never admonished for that. And for me, that was something that I just couldn't. It just like was too exhausting for me to be like, where is the punishment for these people being bad people? And it was never there in the parts that I watched. So that I think it's a kind of a similar thing to that.
I can see where you're coming from with that. I think luckily it helps that the vampires are all kind of dweebs, so their rewards are like the promotion in the big vampire society is like getting promoted at a Barnes and Noble.
But every story exists in its own kind of world, so I still feels like that was just something that I couldn't handle. So I definitely understand that.
This is why I like Sunny, because the characters consistently get punished for their narcissism.
Exactly. That is the perfect counter argument, right? Is that in Sunny they are all selfish assholes and they are not rewarded for it, right? Like any reward they get is quickly taken from them, and that's why that show I watched, all 15 seasons of it or whatever. It's amazing. So yeah, I do think that there's only so much bad actor making bad actions being rewarded or not punished for it a person can take before, if you don't start bringing the world down or give them little punishments or something, then it sounds like Mushoku Tensei has not done that. Even if I think they hard swapped now and suddenly everything they were punished and they had to look back and grow from it, I don't even know if it would work because it's been so long. So
Same.
Cool.
Okay, let's move on. But before we do, I just wanted to give an honorable mention, and we won't discuss this one. It's just stupid, so I wanted you to hear it. Nagatoro-san is one of the worst recent rom-coms, says one poster.
Oh.
And in response, someone else said, that's not a hot take. Nagatoro is pretty widely hated in the internet. What?
Well, next week I think is our awards show, so I'm pretty sure I'm nominating Nagatoro for best romance. So I hate
two
to
people. Two people are just so wrong right here for different reasons. But anyway, let's hear your last one.
Okay. This is a weird one. This one is much less serious as yours was, but we'll end on a little bit of a lighter note. This take, I got this one from Reddit, and so of course it is about elitists. People are too elitist about manga. We only read manga because it's more efficient than watching anime and less taxing than reading a book. It's the lazy man's medium. How do you feel about the phrase, we only read manga because it is more efficient than watching anime and less taxing than reading a book? I'm laughing. I like having to control my laughter here. I think this is so funny.
I think this person is conflating the benefits of reading manga with it being the only reason we read manga. You know?
It's hard because there is a kernel of truth here, right? In that.
Yeah, there is. But he's making a sweeping statement of two good aspects of reading manga being like the unilateral only reason we read manga. Yeah. You know?
Oh, yeah. The only reason I read manga is that it's super efficient. Like, No, I like that I can read more manga in the same amount of time as it would take me to watch an episode of anime. That is part of why I read manga and why I enjoy manga more. I think
Yeah,
part of why I enjoy manga is also that, yeah, it is a little bit less taxing than reading a whole book. It's like I can read 10 minutes a day of a chapter, and it's less than sitting down and reading a chapter of a book. It takes a little bit less brain power because the pictures are there.
I think it's odd that this person would describe reading a book as taxing, but
Taxing
putting
in
that
that
aside,
it takes your full attention, right? And you have to
Sure.
use your mind to create images if your imagination works like that and stuff. Like
Yeah.
I kind of agree with what he's saying. He says it in kind of a dickish way, like all of these takes do, where it's like it takes more of my mental energy to read a book than it does for me to read a chapter of manga. Like I think that's a true statement for me, at least.
I would disagree with this take because the use of the word only is doing a lot of heavy lifting. While I agree, I read manga because it's more efficient and less taxing than a book. I wouldn't say that's the only reason. Not even close. So
Yeah.
no, I don't agree.
He also tags on this. It's the lazy man's medium, and I disagree with that
What?
part pretty heavily. Yeah, I don't.
What is lazy about doing any of this shit? I mean,
I think he's trying to say that, oh, if I read a book, I have to create the pictures myself. But if I read a manga, it does it for me. And then if I would want to watch anime, it takes 20 minutes to get through 2 chapters. And if I read manga, it takes 10 minutes to get through 2 chapters. So
in this guy's world, like using your imagination for even a second is like, breaks out in a sweat.
Don't want to do it. Don't make me use my imagination. It's taxing.
It's like, man, you're not going to the gym here, dude. You're just thinking of something, like if an author says there is a giraffe 5 feet away from me, you can imagine a giraffe and not break out in a sweat. It's not lazy. It's not taxing. Like I get it. It takes less effort, but like,
this guy has real true TikTok ADHD brain rot is what this guy has, where he's like, I guarantee you, if there was some TikTok account that was like, I will give you a manga, like a manga chapter in 60 seconds, he would be like, bro, this is the best way to read manga, is you just watch it in the 60-second TikTok. Like, this is great. It's so you cut out all this extra time. It just gives you the panels it needs. Like, what's the, there's One Piece, right? Which like cuts out a bunch of anime stuff that doesn't matter in the One Piece anime.
And that's fair.
There also was for a while, Kanojo Okarimasu, the Rent-A-Girlfriend, people would look at the chapter and be like, which of these panels are important? And they would boil, 18, 20, 22 page chapters down to like 2 pages. They'd be like, all right, the only important things are here, here, and here. This is all you need to know. And they did that for a while, and that was really funny. And this guy, it might be this dude. Like, it either is this dude or he would love that. Of like, oh yeah,
like,
I can just...
Yeah.
They boiled it all the way down for me. They've cut all the stuff I don't need out.
At that point, why are you even reading, right? Like,
is this the same dude that hates character progression? Because you have to set that up in talking and stuff. So
it sounds like this guy doesn't even enjoy like reading manga or reading books or watching anime. Like,
consuming art takes too much time. Don't do it.
This is supposed to be something you do in your free time that brings you enjoyment. If you're making this like a process of efficiency, you're missing the whole point.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like chugging a glass of $100 wine because it gets you drunk faster. That doesn't make sense. Enjoy the art.
Talking about having a conversation about efficient consumption of art is like 2 opposite ends of like, how do I make mathematical perfect use of my attention and time on something that should be affecting me emotionally? It's like, you can't apply those together. This is a hot take. It's also a silly bad take, I would say.
It's a hot take. I see where this person is. I'd say it's hot because I see where this person is coming from, but they are incorrect in assuming that everyone hates, or not hates, but consumes media in this brain rotted way they do.
He's definitely sort of like, oh, he's hit on the advantages of manga, where it's like you can, consume Japanese media that might be an anime faster, and there are pictures alongside words, so it's not just words. Like those are advantages to manga. Is that why we all read them? Is that why there are better art forms? Absolutely not, dude. This dude needs drugs. This guy needs help with his attention span.
Normally I would suggest like staying off substances, but for this dude, maybe smoke a blunt. Help chill you out a little bit.
Yeah.
You seem tightly wound.
I feel like smoke a blunt and watch some anime is definitely this guy's thing.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Those are the hot takes. Let's do let's do a speed round.
All right.
I wrote down just a list of some manga that are generally pretty popular things.
Okay.
Without thinking too much, I will read you the title and you just tell me if you think that they are, and this is your personal opinion on, are they overrated or underrated?
And can we add one that's like appreciated appropriately or something?
No, over or under. No,
Over, under.
No middle ground on this. They're only hot takes.
Okay. Let's do it.
All right, and I'll try to give mine too. So, Jujutsu Kaisen,
Over.
way overrated. One Piece.
Under.
Okay, I don't know how I feel about this one actually. Now that I think about it,
I would say appropriately if that was an option, but under because it's fucking amazing.
yeah,
So there's no upper limit in my eyes.
I'll give it under. Yeah, I'll go with you on that one. Chainsaw Man Part 1.
Under.
Okay, I think it's
No, sorry. Let's say over. Over for that
say
one.
over. Okay, I'm gonna also say over. Chainsaw Man Part 2.
Under.
I also think under. Yeah, I think Part 1 people like to build up a little bit too much, and I think Part 2 has been really, really good so far, and it's not getting the attention it might deserve.
It's been all character stuff, and people want insane action, and they're not appreciating the character stuff in my eyes.
I haven't been I don't know. There's the motorcycle shit was cool, but
But I'm forced to make sweeping statements here.
exactly. Okay,
Since that's part of the game.
Oshinoko.
Over.
Yeah, I agree. I think over. I think it's very good. I think it hasn't been that great recently.
I agree.
Spy Family.
Over.
Ooh, I think under. I think Spy Family is sleeper
It's
premier
huge.
manga.
It's hugely popular due to the anime, and I'm finding that I
really
appreciate all the Anya stuff, but I find the Lloyd and your stuff to be pretty good. You know, like it's all still very good, but
My argument
I think
for
it's more popular than it should be.
No, I disagree. My argument for underappreciated is that while I think it does have this mass appeal, I think people are missing how good some of the nuance and writing is when you get really deep. All of this like interstate spy agency stuff, a lot of the bad guys, like the bad guy on the bus heist thing was like really well fleshed out. Really, like the writing here, I think when Tatsuya Endo really lays into it, I think is like really super solid, like almost unbeatably solid compared to a lot of stuff.
I agree with you.
So I think underappreciated, not necessarily that it needs to be more popular, but I think that people should recognize that like it isn't just fluff and fun and nothing to consume. I think it's actually legitimately really good.
Okay, next one.
That was Spy Family, Hunter x Hunter, overrated.
Underrated.
Overrated. Okay, moving on. Dragon Ball.
Underrated.
You think under?
In the modern day, yes.
Okay.
If we're talking about when Dragon Ball came out, then I'd say over. But today, yes, because everyone only remembers Dragon Ball Z and not the fun-loving adventure that was Dragon Ball that inspired hits such as One Piece.
Yeah, sort of the original.
Yeah.
Man, this is a hard one. I guess I would go under because you're definitely right that sort of in the modern age, no one really thinks about Kid Goku. It's all about adult Goku fighting stuff. I read like 20 chapters of Dragon Ball, and it was okay. I understand how influential it is and how it's
and everything iterated off of it and all that.
Yeah, exactly. So
onwards.
Yeah, I can go under. Full Metal Alchemist. Full Metal Alchemist.
Skip.
Appropriate. This is the one I will give you appropriately rated on.
Okay, let's agree to skip this one and move to the next one because it is the most popular shit ever and it deserves to be up there. It's neither. Attack on Titan.
Attack on Titan. I think under.
Under.
Yeah.
I don't think people appreciate the political stuff and the nuance of the thematic storytelling well enough. They just want
I also think
people dying.
I also think people don't appreciate how good his paneling and visual storytelling is, even though his art is a little rough. Like I think Attack on Titan is a modern masterpiece. So yeah, I'll go under. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Under.
I'm going to say overrated. People like JoJo way too fucking much. The writing in JoJo's dog shit, like almost all the time.
I think that is the appeal.
I agree,
I
but
think
yeah.
more people should be into really stupid shit. And I think JoJo is dumb as fuck, but it's really fun.
Nice. All right, Dan to Dan.
Under.
More people need to read this. It's the greatest thing being published today. Ranger Reject.
Under.
More people need to be reading this one too. Akane Banashi.
Under.
Those are 3 in a row that I think it's just more people need to be reading them. Those are underrated.
Easy peasy.
Naruto.
Over.
Way overrated. It's garbage.
It's good. It's good, and now it gets a lot of flack because the flaws are more apparent, but I still think it's overrated. Even though it's good.
I've never consumed it, and I'm tired of people talking about it, so it's overrated. Let's go with my favorite, Bleach.
Over.
I'm going to go under.
You think so?
I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to base this not on its popularity and how often people discuss it.
Or the fact that you read it?
I read like 20 chapters of it, not all of it, but...
All right, you bullshitter. Let's hear it.
Here's the thing. I think there are a lot of elements of Bleach that are very good that people don't talk about. I think especially stuff like character design, which I do see people talking about how good Kubo's character design, but his character design and his action and like, why aren't more people like, he's like one of the best, like I'd put him in top 3 character designers. And people don't talk about all the other stuff that he's good at. They just talk about the big battles and the stupid arcs. And I'm going to give it under for that specific reason. I think it is overrated generally, but I'll give it under for that reason.
I can respect that reason. You like the drip. And I'll say Horikoshi is the Kubo of his times currently in terms of character design.
I give him that. Let's see. Demon Slayer.
Overrated. Let's move on.
Massively overrated.
I put those. I didn't see them up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sailor Moon. This one might be another we could be like appropriate. Like that. It's hard to make a call on that one. Sailor Moon is massively influential,
I'm gonna say
massively
under.
popular.
I'm gonna say
I also think under. I think people don't give Sailor Moon enough credit for like.
Boys don't watch Sailor Moon because they think it's a girl thing, so it's immediately discredited
I watched it
by.
Growing up, it was great.
Most men don't. I think it's immediately discredited the same way the Powerpuff Girls was. They see it as a masculine/feminine thing when actually they're just good and bad shows. Yeah.
I mean, it also like pioneered virtually every magical girl thing or made popular. So I'll go under. I do think it's very popular. Chihayafuru.
Under.
Way under.
Easily the most under. Because it is this imparsible card game that makes sense to no one.
I know all the rules of Karta now because of Chihayafuru. Yeah.
But you would see how it's like an impossible barrier for some people where none of this is relatable or makes sense. And the show has to manually build up the kind of narrative stakes in the audience. So it's like an entry barrier. But once you're in, right? Yeah.
I would say one of if not the greatest sports manga ever made, one of if not the greatest romance manga ever made, an amazing anime. I hope we get a full adaptation someday. That is the last one on the list, Gautam. All right, let's guess which of the hot takes that we gave above was our personal inserted hot take, and let's see if we can do this. Gautam, do you want to go first? I think you can guess this one, but
yours is the Webtoons one.
Oh no, it isn't.
I
pulled that one from Reddit. I pulled that one straight from a Reddit comment thread.
Oh, was yours the American Comics one?
No, mine is the Axe and WSJ one. I think that if they gave them more time, I think it would almost universally be better. That is my hot take.
Whoa, I didn't think that was yours. Hey, good one.
Yeah, it's funny because at the end you were like, I would totally get a drink with that guy and talk. I was like, oh yeah, we've got a drink before. Like,
yeah, isn't that hilarious?
That is funny though. Yeah, I thought that I put too much detail in there. I was like, he's going to tell because there's just like so much like no one else has details in their stupid shitty hot takes. So
yeah, that's so funny.
Okay, let me see.
Okay, guess mine.
It's got to be the character progression one, right?
No, mine is the Death Note one.
It's the Death Note one.
The first one I read. I put that second sentence in there to make it to so I had something to discuss too, because that's just incorrect. So my hot take was a little bit of fibbing going on there at the end, but I agree that people who say L is dumber than light is a moron. I feel that way in my heart of hearts.
I guess we agreed on that. There was something else there. So
my real hot take is that the second half of Death Note is good, but I knew you wouldn't.
We did that last year. I'm pretty sure you included that in our last year's hot take episode. Well, probably go check that one out.
I mentioned that so frequently for some reason that you would have known it was me.
That's also true. Yeah. If anyone says the second half of Death Note is good, it's like, Captain, is that you?
Yeah, it's like there are 5 people in the world that think that way. So.
That's awesome. All right. Hey, thank you again for listening and watching, everyone. Don't forget to leave us your hot takes in the comments. Smash that subscribe button, thumbs up, heart, bell, whatever it is. Check out Twitter and Patreon, which are linked.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the hot takes episode. You guys keep it cool, though.
Yeah. Thanks again for being with us this week. Don't forget to read more manga.